Und das war, gestern habe ich mit dem Otto hat mich angerufen, er ruft mich an, ich sage, was geht, Karabo? Ja.
She found it more easy to answer the second question than the first. Well, indeed, she knew how it became him to receive her. If in men survived any delicacy, any reverence, any gratitude, these were her due, who came to him thus. These must appear in his greeting. Or the worst guided, the most hapless of maids was happy beside her. He must show himself lover, brother, parent, friend in his one person, for he was her all. The tenderest homage, the most delicate respect attacked that foreign offense, a punctilio that saw it everywhere, the devotion of a craven, the gratitude of a Peterborough. A quagmire? Or a gerrymander? Peterborough. Die App kennt's nicht. Peterborough. Eine Stadt. Macht das Sinn? Were her right, who came to him thus, a maiden trusting in his honor. Aber das ist groß geschrieben, das muss die Stadt sein. The gratitude of a Peterborough. Wahrscheinlich ist es eine wunderschöne Stadt. Stimmt es? Cathedral. 30 erstklassige Sehenswürdigkeiten. She was clear on this, and not once or twice, but many times. Many times as she pressed one hand on the other and swallowed the telltale lump that rose and rose in her throat, she swore that if she did not meet with these, if he did not greet her with them plain in eye and lip, and with 1,000 dainty flowers of love, 1,000 tender thoughts of imaginings not of her but for her, she had better have been the mud through which the wheels of her coach rolled. Coach heißt übrigens Kutsche. Das heißt, die haben getauscht von der Sänfte in die Kutsche, weil die andere Frau durch Zufall, Fügung oder weil sie von dem Typen geschickt wurde, gesagt hat, dass sie da, wo sie hin will, nicht mit der Kutsche hinkommt. The dice were on the table. The throw had been made, and made for life. It remained only to lift the box. For a very little while, since a matter of minutes only divided her from Davis Street, she hung between the old life and the new, the heart panting vaguely for the sympathy that had been lacking in the old life, for the love that the new life had in store. Would she find them? Child as she was, she trembled now that she stood on the brink. A few minutes and she would know. A few minutes and the coach stopped suddenly, with a jerk that flung her forward. She looked out, her heart beating. She was ready to descend, but surely this was not Davis Street. The road was very dark. On the left, the side on which the door opened, a dead wall overhung by high trees confronted her. Where am I? She cried. Her hand on the door, her voice quivering with sudden fright. We are not there. You are as far as you'll go, mistress, a rough voice answered from the darkness. Sorry to alter your plans, a fine long chase you've given us. And from the gloom at the horses' heads, 2 men advanced to the door of the coach. Click, 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 click. She took them for footpads. The dead wall had much the appearance of the wall of Burlington Gardens where it bounds Glasshouse Street. At that spot, she remembered, a coach had been robbed the week before. She prepared to give up her money and was groping with a trembling hand for a little knitted purse when the man, still grumbling, opened the door. I suppose you know what's what, the foremost said. At suit of Margaret's of Paul Churchyard. You'll go to my house, I take it. You'll be more genteel there. Yes? At suit of Margaret's of Paul's Churchyard. You'll go to my house, I take it. I don't understand. Oh, don't come the innocent over us. The man answered. Here's the Kapias. Das macht es einem nicht leicht als Fremdsprachler. Haftbefehl. Geil. $48. 6, 7. Debt and costs. It's my house. Or the Marshalsea. One or the other, and be quick about it. If you have the cash, you'd better come to me. There's some mistake, Josephine gasped, involuntarily retreating into the furthest corner of the coach. You take me for someone else. Ja, stimmt. Die denken wahrscheinlich, also die haben wahrscheinlich die Kutsche verfolgt und denken, da ist die andere noch drin. The bailiffs, ach so, deswegen hat man es auch nicht kapiert. The bailiffs laughed at the joke. I take you for Mrs. Clark, alias Grocott, alias anything else you please. Come on, no nonsense, mistress. It's not the first time you've been behind bars. Deswegen musste die andere auch unbedingt das Fahrzeug wechseln. Zuerst habe ich gedacht, das wäre so, eine Frau sieht eine andere Frau in Not und hilft ihr, aber jetzt hat sie quasi eine andere Frau ins Verderben geschickt. Ja. So läuft's manchmal. Nicht immer, hoffentlich selten. I warrant with that face you'll soon find someone to open the door for you. But I'm not Mrs. Clark, Josephine protested. I'm not indeed. Pooh. I tell you, I'm not Mrs. Clark. Indeed, I'm not. It has nothing to do with me. Please let me go. And in great distress, she tried to close the door on them. The bailiff prevented her. Come, no nonsense, mistress, he repeated. These tricks won't serve you. We were waiting for you at the Ipswich stage. You got the start there, and very cleverly, I will allow. But my mate got the number of the coach. And if he had not overtaken you here, we'd have nabbed you in Davis Street. You see, we know all about you and where you were bound. Know where it's to be. Josephine, at the mention of Davis Street, began to doubt her own identity. But still repeated with the fierceness of despair that she was not the person they thought. I am not Mrs. Clark. I only took this coach in Brewer Street. You can ask the coachman. Ah, I might, but I shouldn't get the truth. But it is the truth, Josephine cried. Truly, punishment had fallen on her quickly. It is the truth. It is indeed. The bailiff seemed to be a little shaken by her earnestness. He exchanged a few words with his fellow, then, we'll take the risk. Will you come out, ma'am, or shall I come in? Josephine trembled. Where are you going to take me? She faltered. To my house. where it's 10 shillings a day and as genteel company as you'd find in St. James. Help me, you'll be at home in an hour. Nee. Help me, was soll das heißen? Help me, you'll be at home in an hour. Wahrscheinlich just help me oder so. I've known many go in all of a shake that with a glass of mulled wine and cheerful company were as jolly by nightfall as miss at a fair. And without waiting for more, the man climbed into the coach and plumped down beside her. Josephine recoiled with a cry of alarm. La! He said, with clumsy good nature. You need not to be afraid, I'm a married man. You sit in your corner, ma'am, and I'll sit in mine. Bless you. I'm sworn to do my duty. Up you get, Trig. The second bailiff? The second Biff? Gerichtsvollzieher oder Gerichtsdiener. Ach so, Warrant, ja. The second, und die wissen nicht, wie sie aussieht? Na gut, das ist 1740. The second bailiff mounted beside the coachman. The coach was turned, and in a trice, Josephine was once more trundling eastwards through the streets. But in what a condition! In the power of a vulgar catchpole. On her way to a low, sponging house, she saw herself borne helpless past the house that, until 2 days, she had called her home. True, she had only to prove who she was in order to be released. She had only to bid them turn aside and stop at Mr. Northey's mansion, and a single question and answer would set her free. But at what cost? Overwhelmed and terrified at her wits' end how to bear herself, she yet shrank from such a return as that. Gladly would she have covered her face with her hands and wept tears of bitter mortification. But the crisis was too sharp, the difficulty too urgent for tears. What was she to do? Allow herself to be carried to her destination and there incarcerated with vile persons in a prison which her ignorance painted in the darkest colors? Or avow the truth, bid them take her to her brother-in-law's and there drain the cup of ignominy to the dregs. Oh, tschüss. Schande? Ignominy? Wieso du bist eine Übersetzung-App und kennst englische Wörter nicht? Drags meaning. Solid Settlement, also Kaffeesatz. Dregs of Society, Dregs of Coffee, okay. Der Dreck einfach. Unterste Schublade. In either case, decision must be speedy. Already Arlington Street lay behind them. They were approaching St. James Church. They were passing it. Another minute and they would reach the end of the Haymarket. Suddenly she clapped her hands. Stop, she cried. Tell them to stop. There's lanes. They know me there. They'll tell you that I'm not the person you think. Please stop. The bailiff nodded, put out his head, and gave the order. Then, as the coach drew up to the shop, he opened the door. Now, no tricks, ma'am, he said. If you go a yard from me, I nab you. Smooth's my name when I'm well treated, but if Mr. Lane knows you, I'll take his word and ask your pardon. I'm not unreasonable. Josephine did not pause to reply, but descended, and with hot cheeks hurried across the roadway into the well-known silk mercer's. Fortunately, the shop, at certain times of the day, the resort of Piccadilly bloods, was deserted at this late hour. All the lamps but one were extinguished, and by the light of this one, Mr. Lane and two apprentices were stowing goods under the counter. A third young man stood looking on and idly swinging a cane. But to Josephine's relief, he retired through the open door at the back, which revealed the cozy lights of a comfortable parlour. The tradesman advanced, bowing and rubbing his hands. "Dear me," he said, "you are rather late, ma'am, but anything we can do. William, relight the lamps." "No," Josephine cried, "I do not want anything. I only—" "Mr. Lane," she continued, "will you be good enough to tell this person who I am?" Dear, my lady, you don't mean that. What is this, my man? What does it mean?" "Let me tell you, I've several stout fellows on the premises, and—" "No need," the bailiff answered. "I only want to know who the lady is." He looked crestfallen. Niedergeschlagen, crestfallen. He looked crestfallen already. He saw by the lamplight that his prisoner was too young, a mere girl in her teens, and his heart misgave him. "This is Miss Maitland, sister-in-law to the Honourable Mr. Northey of Arlington Street and the house." "Now, my man, what is it? You are sure that she is not a Mrs. Oriana Clark?" "No more than I am." "What do you mean by such nonsense?" "Nothing now. I am sure I beg her ladyship's pardon. Beg her pardon. No offence." He bent his head with ready presence of mind and hurried out the shop, his retreat facilitated by the fact that Josephine, overcome by her sudden release, was seized with a fit of giddiness, which compelled her to cling to the shop board. In a moment the good Lane was all solicitude. He placed a chair for her, called for volatile salts, and bade them close the door into the street. Sending the staring apprentices about their business, he hustled out to procure some water. But in this he was anticipated by the young man, who she had seen in the shop when she entered, too faint at the moment to remark from what hand she took it. Josephine drank and returned the glass. Then, a little relieved by the draught and sensible of the absurdity of the position, she tried to rise with a smile at her weakness. But the young man who had brought the water, and who had something of the air of a gentleman, foppishly and effeminately dressed, implored her to sit a while. "Sure, ma'am, you can't be rested yet," he cried, hanging over her with a solicitude that seemed a little excessive. Such an outrage on divine beauty merits stab me. The severest punishment I shall not fail, ma'am, to seek out the low beast and chastise him as he deserves. "There's no need," Josephine answered, looking at the spark with mild surprise. She was still too faint to resent his manner. "I am better now, I thank you, sir. I will be going." "Stop me, not yet." Stop? Stop. Gibt's nicht. Stapler. Hefte. Staple? Heftklammer. Stop. Stop me, not yet. He fell to fanning her with his hat, while his black eyes languished on hers. "'Twill bring back the colour, ma'am. Has your ladyship ever tried Florence water in these attacks? It is a monstrous fine specific, I am told. I am not subject to them," she answered, forced to avert her eyes. This movement, as it happened, brought her gaze to the open door of the parlour, where, to her astonishment, she espied, wie der es übertreibt mit den Wörtern. Espied. Erspähen. Where she espied Mr. Lane, standing as it were in ambush, dwelling on the scene in the shop with a face of childish pleasure. Now he softly rubbed his hands. Now he nodded his head in an ecstasy. A moment Josephine watched him, her own face in shadow. Then she rose a little displeased and more puzzled. "I must go now," she said. "Be good enough to see if my coach is there." The beau, taken aback by her manner, turned to the silk mercer who came slowly forward. "Is her ladyship's coach there?" The young gentleman cried with great stateliness. Mr. Lane hurried obsequiously to the door, looked out, and returned. "Dear, dear ma'am, I fear those wretches took it, but I can send for a chair." Call one," the gentleman commanded. "I shall see the lady to her door." "Oh, no, 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 no. It is not necessary. It is very necessary at this hour," Mr. Lane interposed, and then apologized for his intervention by rubbing his hands. "I could not think of letting you go from here, ma'am, without an escort. And this gentleman, Mr. Fanshawe, man, Fanshawe," the young spark said, stroking his cravat and turning his head with an absurd air of importance. "Your humble servant to command, ma'am. Richard Fanshawe, Esquire, of Warwickshire. It is certain I must attend you so far. And oh, hang this," he continued, breaking off in a sudden fit of rage, for in the act of bowing to her he had entangled his sword in a roll of lions that stood behind him. Lions. Lions. Das gibt's wieder nicht. Hier? Nee. Lions. Löwen waren bestimmt nicht da hinten dran, in die er reingestochen hat. A surname of Irish? Perfect name for a ferociously adorable tot. Was ist tot? Gläschen. Macht das Sinn? In a roll of lions. Ne? Entangled. Entangled his sword in a roll of lions that stood behind him. Fellow? Nee, das heißt was anderes. Okay, wir fragen ChatGPT. Besser gesagt Gemini. Denn während er sich vor ihr verneigte, hatte sich sein Ding in eine Rolle Lioner Seide. Ach so, ja, okay. Das ist so wie... Hast du mal ein Tempo? Fellow, what the deuce do you mean by leaving rubbish in a gentleman's way? And he struggled furiously with it. Josephine could scarcely forbear a smile as Mr. Lane ran to the rescue. Yet with all his efforts, the bold knight was red and the good stuff was shred. Before the little beau was freed, he cursed all tailors, and to hide his confusion, hastened rather clumsily to hand her to the chair. She was now in a new difficulty. Lane would give the order Arlington Street. Mr. Fanshawe, smirking and tip-tapping at the sight, would insist on seeing her home, and she herself for an instant, as the cold night air met her on the threshold of the oil-lit street, and she shivered under its touch, hesitated. For an instant her fears pleaded with her. bade her take warning from the thing that had already befallen her, whispered, "Home." At that hour, the future mirrored on the gloomy surface of the night street on the brink of which she stood seemed dark, forlorn, uncertain. But her pride was not yet conquered, and without a vast sacrifice of pride she could not return. Her escapade would be remembered against her. She would be condemned for the attempt and despised for its failure. Home, in her case, meant no loving mother longing to forgive, no fond tears nor kisses mingled with reproaches, but sneers and stinging words, disgrace and exile, a child's punishment. Little wonder that she grew hard again, since on the other side a girl's first fancy beckoned roseate, or that when she announced with an easy air that she had to go to Davis Street, Mr. Lane detected nothing suspicious in her tone. Dear, dear ma'am, it's rather late.